Hey guys, welcome back to the JPM Performance channel. Of course, it is time for a shop tour. Here we are rolling into November. So November 7th, man, the weather is still pretty good. You know, we're seeing, I don't know, 30s, 40s at night, but 50s, 60s during the day. For November, pretty good. One of my least favorite things of the year was last weekend, which was daylight savings. It screws me up so bad. I've probably talked about this before, but anyway, fall back. Now it's dark super early. Great. Now we're going to get through the winter. So let's get into shop tour time right after it. So one of the most exciting things this week, check this out. So a brand new set of MCS triple adjustable shocks and all of the components obviously for Miata. So this is for Steven Simon's car. These perches come from Vorschlag. Anybody that's been paying attention knows that these guys make some incredible stuff. So these things have spherical bearings in the top, and they also have bearings in the top of the perch here, so that as you turn the wheel, the spring doesn't have to, you know, rotate on its perches. It's actually got a bearing in the top of this spring perch. So this is some trick stuff. So you've got remote reservoirs with 2 speeds of compression, high speed and low speed, and then you've got your adjuster at the top, which these little knobs go on, and this is for rebound up here. You can see that I've installed some spring perches, which keep the spring in its upper perch so that you don't have misalignment issues. But what a beautiful setup this is. I cannot wait to get these into Steven's car. So that's kind of the next thing I'm working on here when I get back to this. I'll get these put together and get them in the car, see how they fit. Hopefully everything fits good, but it's also going to obviously take a new alignment because I got to get the right heights and corner weights and all that stuff set, but shouldn't be a big deal. So looking good there. Winter engine build time. So motors are starting to roll in. So this is John Elder's engine for his STL Miata, and these guys are wanting to go down to the Florida races, so I actually need to jump on this, get this apart. It's just a standard refresh. It's just got a couple seasons on it. Time to get it refreshed. Looking good there. Hopefully. We'll see. You never know, I guess, till you really take them apart, right? So still waiting on some differential parts for Bill Miller's BMW. However, all of the mounts in the lower trailing arms are all redone. So both sides, new plates welded in, beautiful. Can't really see them from here. They're up underneath, but that's all good. Just waiting on some differential parts, and we're going to be looking really good there. As you can see, I got Ken's car done. So the only thing I've got left to do is to get it on the dyno and clean it up, and we're basically looking good. You can see that the wrap is fixed. We've got the new stickers on. Really, really looking good. Really happy about how everything's working out. Hoping for a really good season for Ken, of course. Yeah, geez, so we're in November, so we're going to be loading this thing up in like 6 or 7 weeks. It's hard to believe that racing season's going to be on us like that. Pretty crazy. Now, okay, my big project for the week. Cameron Walgren's engine. So we had diagnosed the cooling system being compressed. A few years ago, if you watched some of my post-runoff stuff, I know we talked about it, but I came up with a way that you can actually pull these heads off. You can get the lifters out of their buckets and pull everything off while the motor's still in the car without having to pull the engine. So you can see I've got everything laid out on the table here. Oh, by the way, quick middle of the day here, or middle of the shop tour thing. My new favorite tool. Got one of these little hook-on dealies. It hooks onto the hood, and it's got this LED, and man, all of a sudden you can really see under the hood here. So, okay, squirrel, right? I know, I always get distracted. Got the head off, got the block sanded, got the head sanded. What we had was a totally blown head gasket. So you can see it here. It was especially bad between cylinders 7 and 8, but there was a little bit of blow-by on each one of them in between. So Cameron had reported, you know, accidentally overheating the engine. So what happened was it got hot, it lifted the head, it got overheated. It doesn't appear to be warped. I ran my straight edge on the block and the cylinder head, and neither one of them are warped. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace the cylinder head, the head gasket here. You can see I've got a new Cometic gasket ready to go. Just when you're doing this in the car, you need to take your time and make sure everything's clean. So I'm cleaning out all the holes for the ARP head studs. I'm going to get everything cleaned up so that I can get this back together in the car. So yeah, it's a little bit of a tricky job, but I can make it happen. It's all good. So looking good, looking really good. I'm actually glad that I found an issue versus knowing that we have a compressed cooling system and not finding the blown head gasket. So we're good there. Okay, Mazda 2 update. So I had talked about how I was going to redo the fuel system because I wanted to run the fuel lines through the inside of the car with braided line, of course, instead of underneath the car with this style of line. So this style of ARP hose is fine. It's lighter than braided line, which I think is the reason why people use it. But as I was pulling everything out of here, I noticed some breaks along the chassis, and basically the fuel cell mounting had come loose. So it's tied in pretty good over here on this side, but I need to tie this fuel cell mounting into the cage. So we're going to do some modifications, get this tied into the cage. But the other thing that I wanted to do while I was at it, of course, which I've already done, you're not going to get to see it, but always something you should do every now and then. So this is something I haven't dealt with on this car before. So I zipped all the bolts off, looked inside. You can see that this fuel cell has an internal pump. That's what this wiring is for. And then we've got our outlet going up to the engine, and then our inlet, our return right here, plus a vent. And this one, this is kind of a slick deal. ATL will do this for you. It's a dipstick, right? So it's marked for every gallon. So instead of having to pump out your fuel, you can use a little dipstick right there. So that's kind of neat. But inside looked good. So one of the reasons why you get into your fuel cell is to check your foam. The foam will break down over time, and that will obviously plug up your filter. Foam was good. The filter inside looks good. The filter out here I know is good. So doing a little fuel cell cleanup. I'm going to get the case all cleaned up, and we will continue with our fuel system upgrade. In the meantime, got some other things going on with it. Just little bits and pieces. I've got my list. It's kind of funny. So you never know when you're going to run into little bits and pieces like this fuel cell mounting issue, right? I got to give a shout out to Joe McClugan this week, though, because he stepped up and he cut me out a piece of a rocker out of a junk Mazda 2 behind his shop. Haven't received it yet, but he said he had one and he was going to Sawzall it out for me. So what you guys are going to get to do, instead of having to make one, fortunately, he's going to provide me with a rocker. And I'm going to make that rocker overlap here, trace it out, cut it very precisely, and get this put back together. But this is probably the biggest issue, you know, that I'm going to have to deal with on the car over these next couple of months. But keep chipping away, right? What do I always say? Keep chipping away on your car, because if I run into like this fuel cell mounting issue March 1st and I'm trying to go to Atlanta the next weekend, then you're thrashing. And thrashing leads to mistakes, and mistakes lead to problems, and problems lead to not finishing races. So keep working on your cars. I'll see you guys next week. We should have, hopefully we'll have Bill's car completed by then, and Cameron's will be back together because I've got more cars coming. So we're going to have to flip the shop over here in just a couple weeks. So I got to get these things done and gone. Also working, of course, on Steven's shock project and his engine, and more engines coming in, da-da-da-da-da. So looking good for the week. Hope you guys are having a good week. Hopefully the weather's good where you're at, and I appreciate you guys watching as always. Keep up the questions and comments. I'll see you next week. Take care.